The Second World War stands as one of the darkest chapters in human history. A time when entire nations were torn asunder, lives were lost in unimaginable numbers, and the very spirit of mankind was tested in ways few could have predicted. But amidst the chaos there emerged stories of incredible bravery, selflessness, and courage, stories of individuals who, often unsung and unknown, became the quiet heroes who changed the course of history. These are their stories of valiant men and women whose actions would resonate through the ages. The courage of Lieutenant Richard Antrim. In the early days of 1942, Lieutenant Richard Antrim of the USS Pope found himself thrust into the brutal theater of war. In the Dutch East Indies, the Japanese had launched their devastating invasion, overwhelming the Allies with their superior numbers and firepower. Yet the joint Dutch-Australian-American task force put up a fierce resistance, their ships pitting themselves against the might of the Imperial Japanese Navy. Antrim, ship the Pope, fought valiantly in the Battle of the Java Sea, but eventually it was overrun after being captured by the Japanese. Antrim and his fellow prisoners were taken to a PW camp on the Celebes Islands. Life in the camp was harsh, with cruelty from the guards being an everyday occurrence. The prisoners were forced to bow deeply whenever they encountered the Japanese guards, a humiliating act that stripped them of their dignity. One day, Lieutenant Junior Grade Alan Fisher failed to bow sufficiently, enraging a guard. The punishment was swift and brutal, with Fisher being mercilessly beaten. The other prisoners watched in fear, knowing that any attempt to intervene could lead to their own brutal punishment. But Antrim, unflinching and resolute, stepped forward. He pleaded with the camp commandant, asking for mercy for Fisher, and offered to take the rest of the punishment himself. The commandant, stunned by Antrim's boldness, reluctantly agreed, bowing and walking away. Antrim's selfless act. Fisher's life, though his heroism went unnoticed at the time, it wasn't until after the war, when Antrim was finally freed, that his bravery was acknowledged. In 1947, he was awarded the Medal of Honor for his extraordinary courage. Sister Sheila Greaves, a nurse. Bravery. In the chaos of war, the courage of medical personnel shone brightly, none more so than Sister Sheila Greaves, a British nurse who served during some of the most intense battles of World War II, having joined the Imperial Military Nursing Service in 1938. She was present with the British Expeditionary Force in France when the Germans invaded. She survived the evacuation from Dunkirk and later served in North Africa and Italy, but it was during the Battle for Anzio in 1944 that Sister Greaves truly distinguished herself. The Allies had launched an amphibious assault on the beaches of Anzio, but soon found themselves bogged down by fierce German resistance. Amid the chaos of constant air raids and artillery bombardments, Greaves managed the casualty clearing stations where she treated the most severely wounded men. On March 14, 1944, when German aircraft began their deadly assault on the beach, Greaves did not seek shelter like the others. Instead, she ran toward the danger, rescuing the wounded and getting them to safety. Her bravery working under fire to save lives earned her the George Medal, one of Britain's highest honors for courage. She never sought fame or recognition, but her actions saved countless lives on that fateful day. Private George Watson, a hero of the Pacific. In the Pacific, another hero emerged from the ranks of a segregated Army unit. Private George Watson, an African-American soldier, had been assigned to a quartermaster unit, as African Americans were not allowed to serve in combat roles at the time. But Watson, despite the discrimination he faced, was determined to serve his country. In the spring of 1943, Watson's unit was aboard a transport ship bound for New Guinea. The ship was attacked by Japanese bombers, and soon it became clear that the vessel would sink as the crew abandoned ship. Watson, a skilled swimmer, saw that many of his comrades, unable to swim, were in danger of drowning. Without hesitation, he swam back and forth, rescuing as many men as he could, pulling them to life rafts. As the ship sank beneath the waves, Watson was dragged down by the powerful suction of the sinking vessel. His body was never recovered, but his heroism earned him a posthumous Distinguished Service Cross, the first African-American soldier to receive such an honor during the war. Lieutenant John R. Fox, a Christmas Day hero. In Italy on Christmas night of 1944, another African-American soldier, Lieutenant John R. Fox, became a hero in a way that would not be fully recognized until decades later. Fox, serving as an artillery forward observer with the 92nd Infantry Division, had been stationed in the Italian village of Sama Colonia that night. German and Italian forces launched a brutal attack on the American positions. Fox, aware of the dire situation, called in artillery strikes to slow the German advance as the enemy surrounded his position. Fox made a fateful decision. He requested that artillery fire be directed on his own position, hoping that it would buy enough time for his comrades to escape. The artillery rained down and Fox was killed in the strike, but his sacrifice saved countless lives. It was a decision of unparalleled bravery, and yet, due to racial discrimination in the Army, his recommendation for the Distinguished Service Cross was buried for years. It wasn't until 1982 that Fox was finally awarded the honor, and in 1997, his Medal of Honor was presented posthumously. Rifleman Khan, the brave dog. Not all heroes were human, and in the heart of battle, a German shepherd named Rifleman Khan proved that courage comes in many forms. Khan was assigned to Lance Corporal James Muldoon of the British Army, and the two formed an inseparable bond as they fought together through Italy and France. During the Battle of the Scheldt in 1944, Muldoon's assault craft was destroyed by a German mortar shell, and he was thrown into the sea. Khan, seeing his handler struggling, swam back through enemy fire to rescue him, dragging Muldoon to safety on the beach. Khan's act of valor earned him the Dickin Medal, the animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross, and he would go on to live a peaceful life with Muldoon after the war. G. Joe, the pigeon who saved lives. In the skies over Italy, a pigeon named G. Joe became an unlikely hero. Trained by the British Army, G. Joe was part of a team of carrier pigeons used to send vital messages when radio communication was impossible during a battle to capture the village of Calvi Vecchia. In 1943, British forces mistakenly failed to stop an American airstrike that was due to hit the village. The soldiers, unable to communicate by radio, released G.I. Joe with a message to stop the bombing. The pigeon flew 20 miles. In just 20 minutes, arriving at the airfield just in time to prevent the strike. Over 100 soldiers' lives were saved that day, and for his heroism, G.I. Joe was awarded the Dickin Medal. Yojo, a teenager who defied the odds. In the mountains of southern France, a young Roma boy named Yojo became an unlikely hero during the war. Yojo and his family, displaced by the German invasion, lived in the shadows of the Vichy regime. But Yojo, with a bravery far beyond his years, played a pivotal role in saving the lives of two British airmen. After their plane was shot down, the pilots took refuge in a nearby farmhouse. Yojo, using his cover as a food delivery boy, transported the two men toward the Spanish border, evading the Nazi patrols and making sure the pilots crossed safely. Though a policeman nearly caught him, Yojo's quick thinking and courage saw him complete his mission and save the lives of the two men. These heroes, whether human or animal, are a testament to the spirit of sacrifice and selflessness that arose in the midst of the Second World War. They did not seek glory or recognition, but acted out of an innate desire to protect and serve others. Their stories, though often untold, remain a beacon of hope and inspiration, reminding us that even into the darkest of times, the light of human kindness can shine brightly.